So hey there, guitar fanatics, welcome back or welcome to the channel. I want to talk about something I'm seeing a lot these days on YouTube and other social media outlets. And that's guitar teachers making videos and selling courses that claim they're going to be able to turn you into a blues god or a super shredder overnight, if not instantly, all without you having to do any work or understand any of the theory behind it. And most of all, they repeat over and over how amazing your playing is going to sound, and it's going to be so simple. You know, there's a term in the martial arts called Bushido. It means the way of the warrior, and it defined the code of the samurai. And scammers in the martial arts world are often referred to as bullshido artists. And there is definitely a guitar version of that going on. So today I'm going to go over some of the falsehoods that I see. We're going to do a little myth busting. I'm going to give you some honest suggestions how to really make your guitar playing improve. If you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm Charlie Long. Let's play some guitar. So I want to start off by saying there are so many really great teachers on YouTube. People that are smart, honest, sincere, fine musicians and teachers that really just want to spread their knowledge, help you grow as a musician, and make a good living doing it. And these folks deserve to make a good living. I'd like to think I fit into that category, but if I'm honest, I have to admit I've gotten caught up in trying to write catchy and provocative titles too. But even when I've done that, I've been honest in the video about the hard work students are going to have to put in to learn what I'm talking about. But I'm really shocked at some of the channels I see that peddle in pure clickbait. I guess one of the most tried and true adages to live by is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. With that as our guiding light, let's get into lie number one. Big guitar lie number one is master XYZ topic with one simple shape. As in, master blues soloing with this one simple shape, or shred like a demon with this one simple shape. Come on now, is there anybody out there that believes they're going to be able to master anything by learning one simplified version of something? As in, master Italian cooking with one simple recipe, or master bodybuilding with this one simple bicep exercise, or master auto maintenance with this one brake change tip. That sounds kind of ridiculous, right? Yet I see videos like this getting hundreds of thousands of views. Let's break this down rationally. Yes, it can be good to learn some simple repeating shapes to make our way around the neck. Often, this type of video is referencing the pentatonic scale and a 5-note pattern that allows you to play the scale horizontally. And it's usually got a gimmicky phrase like 4 notes and slide associated with it. And you can use this little pattern to move up and down the fretboard. It's a great starting point if you're just learning how to move around the neck, but here's the truth. That one little pattern is not going to make you play amazing solos instantly. There are other little things like phrasing, time feel, the use of subdivisions and space, and getting a great sound out of your gear that you might want to spend some time on also. Great players use the pentatonic scale to make up all sorts of licks and patterns, and it's that variety that makes their solos sound amazing. There are multitudes of ways to play normal pentatonic scales. You can incorporate different fingerings, two-handed tapping, patterns where you can incorporate economy and sweep picking. And not only are there many different ways to play the typical major and minor pentatonic scales, there's many different pentatonic scales that you can play. Scales like the dominant pentatonic and the Hirajoshi scale sound amazing, and they're super useful. So here's the truth, that one little pattern does allow you to start in one position of the pentatonic scale and move up and down the neck horizontally. But you're going to run out of strings eventually, and you better have some other tricks up your sleeve to play with it, or the only amazing thing about your solos is going to be how amazingly boring they sound. You'd never be able to do something like this with one simple little pattern. Now, here's some things you can do with vertical pentatonic shapes, those are the ones that go across the fretboard, that will move you further down the road to real mastery, and that's to learn some sequences. For instance, you could play 2-note patterns in fourths and thirds like this. You could play this back and forth triplet sequence. You could ascend or descend in groups of 4 notes, 6 notes. Or you could get into the Eric Johnson thing with groupings of 5. And we haven't even talked about things like superimposing pentatonics yet. There are such cool ways to substitute pentatonic scales that will allow you to play your pentatonic licks over even complex jazz chords. I guess the point I'm trying to make, pentatonics are a great, big, wonderful topic. And the only thing you're going to learn by learning to play one 5-note shape is how to play that 5-note shape. Let's move on. Big guitar lie number 2. This one simple pattern will allow you to play over any song in any key almost instantly, and you don't need to know any confusing music theory. First of all, even if I was still an early stage guitarist, I would find this statement insulting. Does this guy think I'm too dumb to learn music theory? If you don't know any theory, how would you be able to find out what key you were in to use his magic pattern anyway? It turns out this guy's magic pattern is just a diagram of the major scale played in 3 notes per string. And the big colored diagram you see all over the fretboard in his ads, those are just other 3-note per string major scale fingerings that start on different notes. I can make several more points, but the last one I'm going to make here is here's some chord progressions that if you tried to use the major scale over, you would sound really bad. How about this? Or this one. And here's a simple 2-chord progression. But to sound good over that, you'd have to use 2 different melodic minor scales. So much for any song in any key. So here's some truths. The major scale is an essential piece of musical knowledge, and every guitarist should know it all over the fretboard. 3-note per string fingerings are super useful also. And the 7 patterns can easily be linked together to allow you to flow up and down the fretboard. More on that in a minute. The 7 patterns, each starting on a different note, do represent the 7 modes of the major scale. But where the original statement is so deceiving. The idea that you're going to be able to play this stuff overnight or instantly, that's ridiculous. It's going to take you weeks and months to ingrain these patterns. And once you ingrain the patterns, all you're going to be doing is playing scale patterns. One of the most common reasons students come to me is to be able to get past the stage that their attempts at soloing just sound like scale practice. Number 2, the idea that you don't need to understand any theory to be able to use this stuff. Just running through the notes of a scale, even if it is the right scale of a particular chord, doesn't sound amazing. All notes were not created equal when it comes to playing over chords. And if you're not emphasizing the right notes once in a while, people that know what they're listening to will realize that you don't know. And it helps immensely to know the notes of the chords that you're playing over. This is why I say to anyone that will listen, the most important music theory that you can learn is how to harmonize the major scale. Learn the triads and the 7th chords in a key. Learn to play those arpeggios. Then you'll always be able to figure out easily what key you're in, and you can start to make up licks and lines that emphasize chord tones and sound flashy by mixing arpeggios and scale fragments like this. Here's something that you can practice to tie the 3-note per string patterns of the major scale together. Let's start with G major, and we're going to ascend all the way to the C at the 8th fret of the high E string. When we get there, we're going to slide to the D note at the 10th fret and descend all the way through the scale down to A. Now, if you know your theory, you'd know we just played through the A Dorian mode. And if you don't know any theory, how would you ever know that? And how would you know how to use it? Anyway, next slide up to B and ascend all the way up to E. Slide up to F sharp, descend down to C. Move up to D, and we're going to play all the way to G. Slide to A and descend down to E. Go to F sharp and ascend to B. Slide into the C at the 20th fret, and we're going to play down to the G. And we've come full circle. We covered most of the guitar neck, but if we played that as a solo, would it sound amazing? No. So again, we're going to need phrasing. We're going to need structure. We're going to need space. We need different subdivisions. We need a great sound from our gear. So while learning the different patterns of the major scale are, in my opinion, fundamental, that's only scratching the surface of what you need to know about the major scale and how to use it. Let's move on again. Big guitar lie number 3. I've been seeing videos and some ads for courses that say things to the effect, each note represents an emotion, and once you know it, you'll be able to express any emotion you feel without thinking, and you'll never make a mistake again. And of course, they usually throw in the line, without learning any theory. That is guitar bullshito. Now, here's why that's a lie. Here's a note. That's an F sharp. Can you tell me what emotion that note has? Of course not. And why? Because notes in isolation are meaningless. They have to be heard in the context of other music. And their relationship to that other music, those other notes, that's what evokes to some extent an emotion. I'll explain shortly what I mean by to some extent. And let's again address that no theory needed bullshito with some very simple music theory that every guitarist should be working on. You should be working on your ear and the ability to recognize the sound of intervals. Intervals are the spaces between different notes. For instance, when we play a C chord, it's made up of a root, the third note of the scale from the root, and the fifth note of the scale from the root. Those notes are C, E, which is the major third of C, and G, which is the fifth of C. Now we can easily change the mood of that chord by dropping that major third down a fret and playing E flat. Now it's called the minor third, and we go from a happy sounding chord to a sad one. And as simple as that is, it's still theory. And what about the other notes? Now, we could play F and C. F is the fourth of C, and it does have a different quality to its sound. Those two notes together, to me, they sound unfinished. And to make it sound finished, I could go back to the third. What about if I play F sharp? That would be the sharp fourth. That certainly has a different sort of kind of a mysterious sound. How about A? That's the sixth of C. B, that's the major seventh. All of these notes have different sounds when played against a chord, and your ability to manipulate the tension notes with the more stable notes does create some emotion. But even then, it's not just the notes you play that create emotion. It's how you play those notes, the phrasing you use, bending, sliding, vibrato, your tone, in conjunction with the notes you play that really create that emotional impact. Here's an exercise for you, and you can do this with really any lick. For our purposes, let's play this lick in D. We're going to play D, E, and F sharp at frets 5, 7, and 9 of the A string, B and A at the 9th and 7th frets of the D string, E and D at the 9th and 7th frets of the G string, then A and G sharp at frets 10 and 9 of the B string, and then A again but we're going to end on F sharp at fret 7 of the B string. Let's play it like a robot. No vibrato, no nothing. Can you really say that that has a lot of emotional content to it? Did just the sound of the notes move you in any way? Probably not, but let's just add vibrato to some of the notes. That already feels more impactful to me, more alive. Now, let's add some bends, slides, and maybe a pinch harmonic. You can't tell me that that doesn't pack more of a wallop now. So you've got to do something with the notes that you play. And you have to know enough theory to know which notes to play in the first place. And yes, over time, you're going to start to do it without thinking so much. But you're still going to make mistakes because you're human. There is no magic pattern that will cure all of your guitar ills. The magic is called work and time. And there's one last special category of guitar bullshito artist. This type of YouTube character isn't necessarily lying, but they are being deceptive. I call these folks the every day is a crisis guitar personality. They're constantly doing videos where one day they sing the praises of a particular guitar. 2 weeks later, they're doing a video on why the guitar sucks and they made a huge mistake by buying it. And they do the exact same thing, comparing different amps, comparing different modelers, comparing modelers to amps. And 1 week, they're going fully digital, and the next week, they're singing the praises of tubes, and now they've thrown all their digital gear in the dumpster. Each video, they come to some epic conclusion that they completely reverse about 2 weeks later. I guess they know that as guitarists, we're out of our minds when it comes to gear. And they have no problem providing us the video equivalent of corn syrup so we get our next sugar high. Just keep an eye out for these folks. And don't waste too much time on their channel, because hearing about their latest existential gear crisis, it's not really going to help you nail that Van Halen solo you've been working on. And what's always confused me, why do we care about what other people say about gear anyway? Get out there and play some stuff, trust your own ear, and buy what you think sounds good. You're not going to sound the same playing through it as Gear Crisis Dude on YouTube anyway. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the myth busting and that you've got a few new things to practice. Thanks for stopping by. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm putting out more new content for you every week. Work hard, play hard, have fun, never stop learning, and I'll see you soon.